A lot of you may have seen this Hbomberguy video. Despite it being from an oi bruv YouTuber and being almost 4 hours long, it was a pretty good watch. But I want to talk about the gay person, the main guy Hbomber goes after for like 2 hours. James Somerton.
I'm also gay.
Cool. Because forget the plagiarism, how he and his fans would apparently use the fact that he's gay to deflect criticism is kinda disgusting.
Whenever these allegations are brought up, however, a fan of his will normally pop up to accuse them of harassing a gay man and claim this is all part of a deliberate homophobic campaign against a queer creator.
Okay, now on a kind of related note, I also want to talk about this tweet, which calls out the OTV Twitch streamers for being racist. And this tweet got almost 10,000 likes and prompted some of the most groveling apologies you'll ever see. My words were terrible and offensive. Please forgive my ignorance, massa. Now here's the offending clip.
Turn this light off.
Oh, whoa!
We just all got murdered.
What the hell? Now she looks like Sydney.
Okay, so the joke here is that when it went dark, Scar says, "You look like Sydney now," who is a black person in this influencer friend group. And for that, this tweeter complains about how his safe space was violated and how his skin was being mocked. Which, what? How was it being mocked? Like, dark skin is a real thing. It's not like he said, "Ugh, well, now you look like Sydney, ew." Now, I'd understand this if it was a regular thing. Like, if these guys are constantly highlighting and bringing attention to the fact someone's black, like, that can be annoying. Or if it seemed mean-spirited, I'd understand. But it doesn't give me those vibes. It's a joke that's not very funny. It's a bit overplayed and tired. Haha, it's dark, you now also look dark. Like, okay. But like, to warrant this reaction? Bruv, this was basically just the tamest racist joke ever. So why am I talking about this? Is it just me rage baiting over something kind of cringe? No, I legit think both these people actually hurt minorities. Most normal, decent people, in my experience, don't want to feel like one-dimensional, tokenized victims all the time.
By the way, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could. Best president in my lifetime, hands down.
It's not nice to feel caged by your race, gender, or sexuality. You're an autonomous person outside of those things. And being overly pampered is a kind of cage too. Honestly, I cringe when I see the occasional comments labeling me as a POC in like a sympathetic tone. That feels like some stolen valor or just a weird box to put me in. Like, I feel patronized. And I think the only people who voluntarily invoke that feeling do it to gain something.
He's a massive plagiarist. He's just convinced his audience to attack people when they notice. And the worst part is, they do it in the name of defending a gay creator.
When other people overreact and use their minority status this way, it makes it that much harder to talk about an actual issue which may seem small, but is still an issue. Like, let's take the classic "where are you really from" question, right?
Where are you from?
I personally don't mind getting that question too much. It depends on how it's being asked. But I understand why it can be an alienating, otherizing experience. It's just a reminder of like, okay, for some people, you're not quite in the circle of full acceptability in the society. Or take a more relevant example. I have a friend from the UK, right?
Birmingham is a fucking shithole! He's full of dickheads!
So he was riding in a cab, right, and having a nice chat with the driver. But then the driver asks him his name. And my friend is a kind of Arab-sounding name. And right after he gives it to him, the vibe completely changes. Then he gets asked for his last name. Then this dude starts to kind of grill him. Start to poke around, like trying to suss out his beliefs and shit.
I know you are a Muslim.
It put my friend in a very weird, uncomfortable place. Like, okay, this guy has taken issue with something I can't control, and now I'm being interrogated for it. Oh, I just found another similar kind of example, funnily enough, from an OTV streamer.
When COVID was happening, a lot of people asked where I was from. I noticed.
Whoa. Oh no.
Because my Uber is like, it's a super Chinese name, like my legal name on there. So every time I get into an Uber, they're like, "Oh, are you from China?"
No.
Yeah, and then they ask, "Oh, when was the last time you were in China?"
So yeah, I think some of these small issues deserve to be discussed, but it's hard to do it without feeling lumped in with losers like these. I'd go so far as to say I don't think people like James Somerton or this random tweeter gives a flying fuck about minority groups, including the ones they belong to. It's because they use the fact they're a minority like a sledgehammer. They just say stuff like, "Oh, that's racist. Oh, they just hate me because I'm gay." But they don't try to explain it in like a step-by-step logical, nuanced way. That feels to me like they just try to use this shit as a crude tool to play the victim. If we're at a stage where we can't point out the fact that we have different skin colors, and there are like funny things about that, like, are we actually getting less racist at that point, or are we just like woke scolding? Oh god, I just saw James's fucking apology video, and it starts with him crying that he's been in the hospital because ostensibly he tried to off himself, I guess.
I've been in the hospital. I tried to do something really stupid. I'm really only here now because before I did it.
Hold on, did what exactly? What is it? Why is he being so coy and dramatic? Buddy, you can say the word. I think it rhymes with sewer slide.
I called my dad. to talk to him one more time, and he figured out something was wrong.
How do you begin an apology playing the ultimate victim? Even if it's true and he did pop some pills or try to play Russian roulette by himself, it's so transparently manipulative. It's actually almost funny. Like, it does my head in that people use shit like this like it's a power up in a game. I think he just said all this just to get his Patreon up and going again.
As for Patreon, I'm going to reactivate it.
Whoops, well, apparently that didn't last long. That's another thing. Fuck anyone who hides their Patreon income, including Hbomberguy. I've noticed that quite a few BritTubers do this. Hbomberguy does it, ContraPoints, PhilosophyTube, and I don't understand why, other than they believe that if other people knew how much they were making, they would be less likely to donate to them. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I suppose you can still pretty easily estimate how much they make, but why hide it at all? I don't know. You know what else I've started to hate? Are Indian comedians who talk about white people with like a casual disdain. I get the concept of punching up or whatever, but bro, on the table of privilege, you don't sit far away from whitey yourself, okay? Anyway, to bring it back a bit, even putting aside all the identity politics, I don't trust people who just constantly play the victim. It's such an off-putting, slimy kind of characteristic to have. Maybe I was too harsh on this tweeter person. I mean, I don't know him. Maybe he's not actually doing this for any malevolent reasons. But in James's case, I mean, he built an entire career just stealing truckloads of other queer people's content. I'm not gonna lie, it did feel good to see some dude just get absolutely ripped apart like old school content cop style. Yeah, I don't know what else. Hope you had a good Christmas. Santa's not real. And yeah, see ya.